UFC 311 is just a few days away. And while I normally don't do fight prediction videos because I think most of them are boring and low effort, I've got a proposal for a parlay that you might want to put some money on. Yes, that's right, the AUTISM parlay, where we'll be picking Islam, Merab, Jiri, and Moicano to win. And that's because all four of these fine gentlemen exhibit signs of autism to varying degrees. Now, you might be wondering what qualifies me, some random guy on the internet, to call these guys autistic. Well, it's because of that age-old saying, it takes one to know one. So, just to verify the purity of my autism, here's a few facts about me. My favorite World War I rifle was the Lee Enfield, because its magazine could hold up to 10 rounds, while other rifles, like the German Mauser or the Russian Mosin Nagant, could only hold 5 rounds. I know who Karzahini is in the LEGO Bionicle lore. I watched Leafy is Here when I was a kid. My favorite political leader in Indian history is Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who is considered to be the founder of Pakistan. By the way, Pakistan is a literal meme country because Pakistan is an acronym for Punjab, Afghania, Kashmir, Sindh, and Balochistan that was made up by the activist Chunji Ramat Ali in 1933. And I know who all these anime characters are. Just to name them all, there's Feedless from Re:Zero, Astolfo from Fate, Luca from Steins Gate, and Nagisa from Assassination Classroom, or Ansatsu Kyoushitsu in Japanese. And to top that all off, I made a 40-minute long video hypothesizing about why inbreeding makes Dagestanis great fighters, which you should check out if you haven't already. Anyways, now that you guys can be certain of my high concentration of autism, let's get into why I'm picking Moicano, Jiri, Merab, and Islam on the basis of their autism. So getting started with Moicano, you might be wondering why I'm calling him autistic. He speaks pretty well, he seems quite sociable, and he's a Chad. But what sets Moicano apart as a top-tier autist is his belief in and consistent espousal of libertarianism. Now, I'm not saying every libertarian is autistic, but if you've ever spoken with a hardcore, Ayn Rand reading, Hans Hermann Hoppe citing, meme coin buying libertarian, you would know just how autistic they can be. These are the guys who, when you ask them who is going to pay for the police and the military, cook up a 1,000-page screed on how these can somehow be funded by venture capitalists minting NFTs. However, this sort of autistic adherence to principles is precisely why you should pick Moicano. Just like how libertarians strictly adhere to the logic of the non-aggression principle to prove that taxation is theft, Moicano can be expected to adhere to a strict game plan to beat Beneil Dariush. If you go back to the Benoit Saint-Denis fight, you'll see that after busting Saint-Denis up in the first round, Moicano basically took the entire second round off. This was partially because of an injury to his shoulder, but also because Moicano was focusing on jabbing up Saint-Denis' damaged eye to get it to close up. This shows that Moicano is capable of fighting strategically, due in large part to his autism. If I were Hanato Moicano, my main strategy for beating Beneil would be to outstrike him on the feet, since there's no significant grappling advantage either way, and because Beneil is currently on a 2-fight KO loss streak. And if you look at how Beneil lost those fights, you'll see that it came from Oliveira and Arman doubling up on strikes to the open side of the orthodox versus southpaw matchup. Oliveira threw a right high kick followed by a series of right hooks, while Arman threw a right knee followed by a straight right hand right behind it. Moicano trains at ATT, so I'm trusting his coaches to develop his game plan around this. Furthermore, Moicano is on a 3-fight win streak against southpaws like Dariush. Yes, I'm counting Jalen Turner as a southpaw since he fought the entire fight against Moicano in southpaw. And on top of all that, Beneil Dariush recently had an interview saying that if he can't win this fight, he's probably going to retire. That's a seriously bad sign when it comes to Dariush's confidence. So yeah, my prediction for Moicano versus Dariush is Hanato Money Moicano by 30-27 decision. Next, with Jiri Prochazka versus Jamal Hill, I think Jiri is going to destroy Jamal Hill using the power of his weebery. Ever since Jiri made his UFC debut, most MMA fans have come to the consensus that, well, he's pretty autistic. He eats punches with his hands down, he sits in the darkness for days to strengthen his spirit, and he's a weeb. However, Jiri is one of the cool weebs. Now, let me explain what the difference between a cool weeb and a cringe weeb is by using the examples of Jiri and Israel dogbender Adesanya, respectively. Izzy is a cringe weeb because he bases his personality around Naruto and Avatar: The Last Airbender, the latter of which isn't even an anime because it wasn't made by the Japanese. And also, he enjoys gooning to hentai and buying body pillows. Adesanya has no actual respect for Japanese culture as a whole, but still builds his brand image as a fighter around being a nerdy weeb because he knows that it will appeal to his fan base of iPad kids. And the biggest piece of proof that shows that Izzy is a cringe weeb is that he sold out to China. If you know anything about Sino-Japanese relations, you would know that Japan and China hate each other with an intensity that's only rivaled by the hatred between the Greeks and the Turks. If you're selling out to China and flying their flag, you're not a true weeb. Izzy is a fraud, even when it comes to his weebery. Meanwhile, Jiri is a cool weeb because he respects all parts of Japanese culture. Sure, he likes anime like One Punch Man, but that's only a tiny fraction of his weebery. Jiri trains in Japan. He's fought in Japan. He became a champion in Japan. He's read the Gorin no So, and he's been forced to endure the incredibly packed metro systems over here as well. I can confirm all of this because I have met him in person, as you can see here. Yep. Hi. Yeah, exactly. But he's a big fan of you, and he'd love to see this video. Thank you, man. Good luck with your next fight. Please KO Jamal Hill for us. It was also during this fight between autists that I could confirm that Jiri's aura has been fully restored. He is fully rejuvenated, and he is ready to sleep Jamal Hill. Now, I know that Jiri looked awful in his last fight against Bahia. He got dropped in the first round and then KO'd in the second round so badly that it broke his antenna. However, the same can be said for Jamal Hill's loss, where he got slept by Bahia, right? And after that, Jamal tried to make an incredibly quick turnaround after getting KO'd to try and fight Khalil Roundtree at UFC 303, but had to pull out due to an injury. Now, if you've watched my video on Jamal Hill's IQ, or have been following anything related to him for the past year, you would know how delusional Jamal Hill is. Jamal is still completely caught up with the Bahia loss and the fans' reaction to his coping and excuse-making. Meanwhile, Jiri has moved on from his losses to Poatan. Thanks to his autism, he's razor-focused on finding Jamal's chin, and here's why I think he'll find it. If you watch a Jamal Hill fight and compare it to Jiri's fights, you'll notice two major discrepancies: the speed of their opponents and the difference in footwork. Except for Bahia, none of Jamal's opponents were as fast as Alexander Rakic or Volkan Oezdemir, both of whom Jiri knocked out in the second round. Except for Alex Bahia, all of Jamal's opponents are plotsters. There's the 43-year-old Glover Teixeira, post-knee surgery Thiago Santos, Johnny Walker, OSP, and Jimmy Crute. All these guys are very slow on their feet, and this is what let Jamal Hill get away with his atrocious footwork. I'm serious, just take a look at how bad it is. He's constantly crossing his feet, his base is always shifting around, and I'm sure that Achilles tendon tear he had has only made it worse. Now, I'm not saying Jiri's footwork is fantastic either. He has a tendency to exit the pocket by stepping back from orthodox into southpaw or vice versa. However, it is orthodox and it is fast. Jamal's footwork, on the other hand, is very cookie cutter, predictable, and on top of that, it's poorly executed. And since Jamal's stance offers awful stability for throwing kicks with any kind of power, and for proof of that, just look at how he somehow didn't flatline Glover when he landed a head kick. I don't see Jamal compromising Jiri's footwork with leg kicks. So yes, I'm taking Jiri Prochazka by round 2 TKO. Specifically, I think Jiri is going to catch him with a right straight to left overhand combo after Jamal Hill throws his jab, since Jamal's chin tends to go up in the air whenever he throws a power jab with any type of commitment. Now moving on to the bantamweights, you might think it's safe to pick the two Dagestanis as a pair, but you'd be wrong. First of all, as I discussed in my video on Dagestani inbreeding, Islam Makhachev and the Nurmagomedov family are from two separate Dagestani ethnic groups. This means that Makhachev's high levels of autism are not transferable to Umar. And secondly, Umar is simply too normal to have autism. For evidence of that, just go to his Telegram page. This guy's hobby is taking photos of the places he travels to, which is basically what all Instagram influencers do. And as is commonly known, Instagram influencers are known for their narcissism, not their autism. If Umar had high levels of autism, his hobby would be something like playing Hearts of Iron 4, or watching VTubers, or cross-dressing, or doing all three at the same time. Umar is just too much of a chill guy to have autism. Meanwhile, Merab is the pinnacle of coon-brained autism. Merab cannot help but smack the rear end of any vaguely female-looking humanoid he walks past. He kissed Sean O'Malley in the middle of a fight because he was just that down bad. And well, where do you think Merab gets all of his cardio from, huh? Merab has very high levels of autism, as you can see from him getting very angry at the slightest provocation, running up hills for no reason, and doing stuff like this.
Merab, Merab. Merab,
And yeah, the reason why Merab has a good chance of beating Umar is because there's been rumors that Umar is coming into this fight with an injured hand. This is a pretty big deal because not only would this affect Umar's striking, but it'll also affect his grappling defense against Merab. Merab really likes these two positions, the body lock with his opponent up against the cage, and the front headlock. The way you get out of these positions is by fighting Merab's grip, which Umar would struggle with if he has an injured hand. Also, the biggest threat that Umar presents is his kicks. His boxing looked alright against Sandhagen, but honestly, Sandhagen looked like he was more focused on defending takedowns than he was on actually landing his own offense. Merab has fought much more dangerous strikers than Umar, like O'Malley, Jan, Jose Aldo, and Marlon Moraes, and came out on top. So, my pick for this fight is Merab by 48-47 decision. And finally, we come to the main event, the rematch between Islam Makhachev and Arman Tsarukyan. So, as I've said already, I'm predicting Makhachev to win this fight, and I think he wins thanks to him being the most powerful kind of autist there is, a troll. Islam is a massive troll. He shot guys with airsoft guns, he's trashed Daniel Cormier for being a fat, obese pig, he's made fun of guys for not having real black belts in jiu-jitsu, and he submitted Aiden Ross. The only thing I have to criticize him for is that he let go of that choke. On the other hand, Arman is very autistic too, getting angry at the slightest provocation, and having been recorded throwing one of the zestiest kicks of all time before he went to fight Makhachev for the first time. But Arman's weakness is that he comes from a very rich family. Being rich neutralizes the purity of your autism. Sure, if your parents are rich, they can buy you more Bionicles and My Little Pony figurines, but you also miss out on crucial parts of being autistic, like going to public school thinking you're a Sigma male and an anime protagonist, when in reality, you're a loser with no friends. This gap in autism between the two is going to be the difference maker in this fight. Islam's autism is just too powerful, and his ability to troll guys is unmatched in the UFC right now. And that's why he's going to chin Arman on the feet with his boxing. Arman knows that in order to beat Makhachev, he's going to have to rely on his open stance body and head kick, because Arman's kicks are the best part of his striking game. However, Islam knows this too. Whenever Arman kicks, he's going to have to plant his lead leg and pivot on it, which will give Islam an opportunity to throw a straight left at Arman or step in for a judo trip. Arman is not iron-chinned. He's gotten chinned in his pro MMA debut, and he was wobbled badly by Joaquin Silva. And Joaquin Silva, in his next fight, took Clay Guida in 2021 or 2, I forgot when. He took modern-day Clay Guida to a unanimous decision. Like, bro, you should be finishing guys like Joaquin Silva in the first round, not getting merely slept by them. Arman is open to getting hit on the feet, while Islam is the most defensive irresponsible fighter in the UFC today. Islam knows which weapons he needs to watch out for, and is likely trained to avoid them. Anyways, that's the end of this prediction video. Here are my full card predictions. See you later. Bye.